Have you ever sat in your favorite chair feeling the quiet pressing in? Not peaceful quiet, but the kind that feels heavy, the kind that whispers, "It's just you now." At 74, John found himself in that silence. The house he once shared with his wife for over 50 years now echoed with stillness. The kitchen table had only one plate, the phone rarely rang, and while the world outside kept spinning, his world seemed frozen. It wasn't sudden. The children had grown and moved states away. His friends, some had passed, others grew distant. One by one, familiar voices faded, leaving him alone with memories. But here's something we often forget. Being alone doesn't mean life is over. In fact, for many, it can become a surprising new chapter, one filled with purpose, discovery, and quiet joy. In today's video, we'll walk through 5 powerful steps that helped John and can help you turn solitude into strength. Small shifts that bring light back into your days even after 70. So let's begin this journey together. The most challenging part of being alone isn't always the silence itself. Sometimes, it's the emptiness of the hours. When no one is knocking on your door, no one is waiting for breakfast, no appointments to keep. The days quietly stretch and time blurs. In the first few weeks after John lost his wife, the days felt like one long stretch of fog. He would wake up whenever sleep let him. Some days it was barely dawn, others the sun was already high. Breakfast, sometimes it skipped altogether. And before he realized it, it was evening again. Without structure, John felt adrift, like a boat without an anchor drifting wherever the day's currents carried him. Many seniors experience this, especially after a significant life change. Retirement, losing a spouse, children growing distant. They all quietly steal the natural rhythms we once had. And when the rhythm goes, so does motivation, energy, and often joy. That's why the first step to staying happy and strong after 70 is simple but powerful. Create a morning anchor. You don't need a strict schedule or packed calendar. What you need is a gentle, dependable ritual that tells your mind and body, a new day has begun. I am here. I have purpose. For John, it started with something small. Every morning, he set his alarm for 7 a.m. He would open the curtains, letting the morning light wash over his living room. Then, he'd brew a pot of tea, the same tea his wife once loved. Sitting by the window, watching the neighborhood slowly wake up, became his moment of peace. Some mornings, he would write down 3 things he was grateful for, even if it was just the sunshine, my warm cup of tea, the memory of Mary. This small routine did something powerful. It gave his day a starting point, a heartbeat. Studies from Harvard have shown that maintaining even a simple daily rhythm helps regulate mood, improve sleep, and reduce feelings of depression in older adults. Structure whispers to the brain, you are safe, you are steady. Life continues, and little by little, John looked forward to his mornings again. That tiny ritual became his anchor, holding him steady even when other parts of life felt uncertain. And once your mornings feel steady, you're ready to breathe new life into the space around you. Because the environment you live in has a quiet power over how you feel each day. Once your mornings find their rhythm, a gentle momentum starts to build. But often the space we live in, the walls around us, still hold the weight of our loneliness. What you see around you slowly shapes how you feel inside. John's house had once been filled with life. The aroma of Mary's cooking, the hum of grandchildren playing, the soft laughter at dinner time. But months after Mary's passing, everything remained frozen, as if waiting for her to return. The curtains hung heavy, the photo frames gathered dust, and the guest rooms sat untouched. And though he didn't always notice, the house had started to mirror his grief, quiet, dim, and still. What John didn't realize at first was this: your home is not just where you live. It's where your emotions breathe. Our spirits tend to match when surrounded by clutter, darkness, or lifelessness. But even small, simple changes can whisper new energy into these rooms. One afternoon, his daughter Emily visited. Gently, she suggested they start with just one corner, the old reading nook where Mary once spent her evenings. They cleaned the windows and replaced the worn curtain with a soft, light blue fabric. They dusted the shelves, added a small potted lavender, and placed a cozy new reading chair by the window. The transformation wasn't grand, but when John sat there the next morning, sunlight pouring in, the scent of lavender in the air, something shifted inside him. It felt like a quiet invitation to live, not to forget, but to breathe again. Experts often say that light, color, and order can have a powerful impact on our mental well-being, especially in later years. Open your curtains each morning. Choose warm, calming colors like soft blues, gentle greens, or light yellows. Add a few living touches, a small plant, a photo from a happy memory, or a candle with your favorite scent. You don't need to renovate the whole house, one corner at a time, one gentle step at a time. As John refreshed his space, he discovered something beautiful. When your surroundings feel alive, so do you. And with a refreshed space around him, John was ready to reclaim something even more profound: his own body. Because after 70 movement isn't about perfection, it's about keeping the spark of life alive within us. When your home feels lighter, something inside you quietly stirs too. But there's another part of healing we often overlook. One that lives not in the walls of your home, but in the muscles and bones that carry you daily. Because even after 70, your body still remembers how to move. For months after Mary's passing, John spent most of his days sitting in his favorite chair by the television or at the kitchen table. The hours passed quietly, but slowly his body began to stiffen. Simple tasks like reaching for a book or climbing a few stairs became harder. At first, John told himself, "Well, I'm old. That's just how it goes." But the truth was, it wasn't his age, it was his stillness. Medical studies show that after 70, we lose up to 3% of muscle mass yearly if we stop moving. And when muscles weaken, balance falters, joints ache, and energy fades. Movement isn't just about exercise, it's about staying alive inside your skin. One day during a doctor's visit, John's physician offered him a simple truth: you don't need a gym, you need motion. So John began small. Each morning after his tea, he'd take a short walk to the end of his block and back. Some days he'd stretch gently by the window, lifting his arms toward the ceiling, breathing slowly. Later, he joined a Tai Chi for seniors class at the community center. Gentle flowing movements that felt almost like a dance. No pressure, no strain, just motion, graceful, calming healing. Even on rainy days, John would play his favorite old jazz record and sway softly in his living room, feeling his body move to the rhythm, reminding himself that his body still belonged to him. Research from Stanford confirms just 20 to 30 minutes of light movement daily reduces the risk of falls, improves mood, and boosts cognitive sharpness in seniors. The secret isn't intensity, it's consistency. John's strength didn't return overnight, but day by day, step by step, his body slowly woke up, and with it his confidence, his balance, and his spirit. And as John regained his physical rhythm, something beautiful happened. His desire to reconnect with others gently returned. Because the heart, like the body, also longs to move toward people, laughter, and life. As John's body grew stronger, so did a quiet ache inside, not in his muscles, but in his heart. Because while he was learning to live alone, he deeply missed feeling connected. Loneliness doesn't always come from being physically alone. Sometimes it's the silence of a phone that doesn't ring, the empty seat across the dinner table, the birthdays that pass quietly. For months, John would glance at his phone, hoping his children or old friends might call. But weeks went by with little more than polite check-ins. He told himself, "They're busy. I don't want to bother them." And like many seniors, he waited and waited. What John didn't realize is what so many forget. Connection often begins when we make the first move. According to AARP, nearly 1/3 of adults over 65 experience profound loneliness. Yet many feel too hesitant to reach out, fearing they'll be a burden or be rejected. But when John finally opened that door, everything began to change. One Sunday, he called his old friend Sam, a fishing buddy he hadn't spoken to in years. "Sam, I was thinking about those old lake trips. Remember when we caught nothing but weeds?" They laughed for half an hour, like no time had passed. That small call sparked a ripple. John started inviting neighbors over for morning coffee. He joined a local book club for seniors where discussions became friendships. At the community center, he volunteered to teach children how to play chess, something Mary had always encouraged him to do. And slowly his world grew warm again. Not crowded, but rich with familiar voices. The truth is, most people are longing for connection just like you. But someone has to go first. Sometimes a simple smile to a stranger, a brief hello at the grocery store, or a handwritten card to an old friend can open a door you never expected. And if you're afraid, start small. Invite one person for tea. Ask a neighbor about their garden. Join one community group. John discovered what so many seniors forget. You are never too old to make new friends. And as his heart reconnected with others, something deeper awakened inside him. The part that still dared to dream, create, and begin again. Because even after 70, the best chapters may still be waiting. With new friendships blooming and his days filled with simple joys, John felt more alive than he had in years. But deep inside, there was still one quiet question lingering. Is there still more for me to do? For much of his adult life, John had carried a small dream he'd gently placed aside while raising children, building a career, and caring for Mary. He had always wanted to write poetry. But like many of us, he once thought, maybe I missed my chance. Maybe I'm too old now. It's a thought that quietly visits many seniors. Yet the truth is far gentler. Dreams don't have expiration dates. While organizing his bookshelf one afternoon, John stumbled upon an old leather notebook. Blank waiting. On a quiet impulse, he sat by the window, pen in hand, and wrote his first poem. It wasn't perfect. It didn't have to be. What mattered was that he began. Week by week, his poems grew. Some were about Mary, tender reflections on their life together. Others captured the golden sunsets outside his window. And some were simply playful memories of his fishing trips with Sam. Eventually, at the encouragement of his book club friends, John read his poems aloud at a local senior open mic night. His hands trembled at first, but as the room filled with gentle applause, his eyes sparkled with something he hadn't felt in years: pride. Science supports what John discovered. According to Stanford research, engaging in new creative pursuits after 70 enriches the soul and keeps the mind sharp and the heart vibrant. It doesn't have to be writing. Some take up painting. Others learn to play a simple instrument. Many enjoy gardening, baking, or even learning a new language. What matters isn't the outcome, it's the act of creating, the act of beginning again. John's poetry didn't make him famous, but it filled his days with meaning, gave his nights a soft glow, and turned his once silent house into a home filled with stories. And as John shows us, even after loss, even in solitude, life still holds room for beauty, growth, and surprising new chapters. Now, as we bring this journey together to a close, let's reflect on everything we've learned and on the beautiful truth that even after 70, your best days may still be ahead. And so here we are, standing at the doorway of John's quiet house, which no longer feels so quiet, because what once felt like an ending has gently become a new beginning. John's story isn't extraordinary because he climbed a mountain or ran a marathon. It's extraordinary because, like so many of us after 70, he faced the long, quiet hours and chose to keep living fully. He anchored his mornings with simple rituals. He refreshed his home, allowing light and life back in. He moved his body gently, reminding himself that strength still lived inside him. He reached out, one call, one coffee, one new friendship at a time. And finally, he dared to dream again, picking up an old passion and breathing new life into it. That's the beauty of this stage of life. Not everything will be loud, fast, or full of crowds, but even in the stillness, there is purpose. Even in solitude, there can be joy. Even after loss, there is still so much life waiting for you. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are still becoming. So as you sit here with me, I want to ask gently, what is one small thing you can do this week, just for you, to bring a little more joy, movement, or connection into your day? I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share that one small step. Your story may inspire someone else who needs a little hope today. If this video touched your heart, please give it a like. It helps others find this message. And if you haven't already subscribed to us, great. Every week, we'll continue sharing real, honest conversations to help you walk through this beautiful season of life together. Because even when life grows quiet, you are never walking it alone. We're here with you. Years. I never realized how much stress I had carried for decades until I finally let it go, John said softly. For him, the neck release point wasn't just a sleep tool. It became a nightly ritual of forgiveness, releasing the burdens of a lifetime, one gentle tap at a time. Now you've seen all three tapping points that transformed John's nights and his life. But there's one more thing we need to talk about. These simple habits and a few tiny evening changes can supercharge your sleep. Starting tonight, let's explore those next. Imagine what your nights could feel like if your mind no longer raced, if your body no longer carried decades of tension, and if sleep, deep, peaceful, natural sleep, came to you effortlessly. That's what John discovered, and that's what's waiting for you too. Over just a few weeks, these 3 simple tapping points, the forehead pause button, the temple reset, and the neck release point, helped John reclaim something he thought he had lost forever: restful, healing sleep. No expensive devices, no harsh medications, just his fingertips, and a few mindful minutes each night. And here's the beautiful truth. Your body already knows how to rest. Sometimes it just needs a little gentle reminder. These small movements aren't just about sleep. They're about permitting yourself to let go, to release the weight you've carried and allow yourself to heal. If this video helped you or you're ready to try it, I would love to hear your story. Drop a comment below and share your experience. Your story might help someone else tonight. And if you'd like more gentle, science-backed ways to stay healthy and vibrant after 60, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's so much more I want to share with you, and you deserve every peaceful night ahead.